Justin, our last caller, what's your question?
Yeah, hi, Jason. Hi, Don. So my question is, we're in a situation that I think is probably not too uncommon, and that is that I've invested my own money in the startup, and we've got a fairly well-developed product, pretty low overhead, and
Good.
we're in a position where we don't necessarily need to take money. But one of the things that's intriguing to me and that I've been considering recently is the idea of working with an angel, not so much because we need the money, but for the insight and the doors that they can open and to sort of help us steer the ship, so more of an advisor role. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say, so the question is when you see a lot of advice and a lot of information on the blogs on approaching angels and VCs, in a situation like ours where we're more focused on the expertise that someone can bring to the venture than the money itself. Of course, the money will be great for things like growth and advertising and things, but really what we're focused on is the expertise that the person can bring to the equation. So I'm curious, what's different about finding those opportunities and what's different about structuring those deals?
I would say the best thing to do is to bring these people on in an advisor role and worry about the investment later. If you ask them to be an advisor to you and maybe offer them a little equity to do it, then they may naturally, once they get a taste of it and they're excited about your business, they may give you more. And so you can start just by emailing those people, calling them and saying, listen, I don't want to ask you for money or anything like that. I really respect what you've done. Here is what I respect about what you've done. Something they've done, right? Research it. And say, I'm doing something where I think that your experience would be invaluable. Is there any way, and I'll meet you anywhere at any time, Sunday morning at 9 a.m., Saturday night at 11, whatever time you want, anywhere, anytime, just eat a cup of coffee and pick your brain about my idea, because I really could use your help. Most people are scared to send that email, but there are very forward, sometimes obnoxious, sometimes crude, sometimes aggressive, sometimes brilliant, sometimes sincere, whatever, people who do that, and they put themselves out there and ask for advice, and you know what? You don't need to get everybody to do it, but you get one or two people, all of a sudden it becomes life-changing. And so you have to be a little bold and send that note to people, and if they get to know you, and they like you, and they like what you're doing, they have an affinity for it, you've transferred the enthusiasm, now the investing in it becomes like, oh, well, it's obvious I'll invest in this. I would like upside in it. I'm helping the person out. Why not? So I think you should first make a human connection with those people and get them to talk to you and give you free advice, and then maybe talk to them about coming on board as a investor. I'd flip it a little bit. What do you think, Don?
I agree. Don't take the money. Don't take the investment first. Get a personal relationship with them. Have them be an advisor. And then go from there.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it also can be a little creepy if the first thing in the email is like, oh, invest, It's like, I don't know you, I don't know exactly what's going on here, why would I invest, all this stuff. Yeah, there's a expression, slow your roll. Slow your roll a little bit. Just ask for advice, ask them to have a cup of coffee, talk about the idea, brainstorm a little bit, and then you're on the road. Then I find the investment will follow if the project is good and virtuous and it sounds like you're in a good position for your business. And I think getting investors who add value is critical. With Mahalo, I could have funded Mahalo largely myself in the beginning. I didn't. I said, who's the best person in search? Who's done more in search as an investor than anybody? And the two names that came up were Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia. They had both done Yahoo and Google and YouTube. I met with both of them. I went with Sequoia for whatever reason. You can read that in my book 5 years from now. There's a good, funny story there. But start at the top. Look for the person who's most aligned with your business. And then go try and get coffee with them. Go try and get them to take an interest in your business. And that's a pretty easy list to make. I mean, what vertical are you in?
Real time.
Real time, like search kind of stuff?
Well, we're built around the Twitter ecosystem. And,
yeah.
There is a search component, yeah. That's
perfect. I mean, if you're going to be involved in Twitter, Fred Wilson's an investor. Bijan from Spark is an investor.
Chris Sacca.
Yeah, Chris Sacca. These people are all on Twitter. Bijan on Twitter, Fred Wilson on Twitter. Bijan and Fred both have blogs. Sacca does. So if I was going to stalk those three guys, I would read every one of their blog posts, and I would write an intelligent comment on that post, regardless of what it's about. And then just become a staple of posting intelligent things on their blog. Maybe not everyone's a little creepy, but where you can say something intelligent, say it. Then, after you've got 5 blog posts on Fred Wilson's blog, you know he reads it because he'll probably respond to it. You can email him or Twitter him a direct message or however you do it and say, listen, I've posted on your blog a couple times. I'm a very big fan of your writing. I really enjoy what you're saying. Here's what I'm working on. I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to be in the Union Square area. Any chance we can go to the Shake Shack? Because you know he likes Shake Shack because he talks about it on his blog. That's how you get into somebody. They see, oh, you're taking interest in what I'm doing, as opposed to this like me. I asked Don to come to TechCrunch 40. I had read Don's blog, and I'm sure in the email when we look it up, I said something about I'm really a fan of your blog.
Yep.
So how is Don not going to respond to that? That makes Don into the jerk for not responding because I was so gracious to say, oh, I read your blog, I enjoy it. You know, it's hard to be a jerk and not respond to that. I guarantee you, Fred Wilson, Bijan, and Sacca are all going to respond. It may take you 2 or 3 emails, it may, but be persistent, but in a gracious way.
All great advice. I would add one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Be precise in what you want.
Oh, yes.
I get emails all the time saying, hey, can we sit down and talk?
Right. You don't have all the time in the world.
Talk about what? I don't have time to talk about whatever. Be very precise. If I think I can add value, I'll do it. If I can't, I won't. So do all the things that Jason suggested.
And be concise.
And be precise about what you want, where you think they can add value.
Right. And you can even put that in bullet points. Like, I think there's like 3 things you could help me with. 1, I think you might have some good feedback on my product, which I'd love to show you. It would take 5 minutes to demo. 2, I think that you might potentially at some point be a great board member or advisor to the company. 3, I think that Microsoft might have an interest in this technology. You should at least hear about it because it might be related to what Bing is doing, whatever. But yeah, I think, and don't write long emails. That is the killer. If you write an email that is more than 1 page down, I'm just like, oh, I can't, I'm busy. How am I going to read this thing? Anybody who writes a 3-page email to Mark Cuban or Don or Fred Wilson, I mean, they're shooting themselves in the foot. Mark Cuban's reading on his BlackBerry from a Mavericks game. Too much information. Leave them wanting a little more. So there's great advice from Don. Be concise. And sounds like you're doing interesting work. And would you like to come to TechCrunch 50 as my guest?
I definitely would.
Well, there you go. 6 tickets to TechCrunch.
And in fact,
yeah.
I was just going to mention we'll also be at Twist Up in LA, so maybe we'll get a chance to say hi.
Oh yes, come by. I will be at this event. So awesome. I will see you at both events, and good luck with everything.
You've been watching This Week in Startups. To watch the full episode, click here. To check out some other shows from This Week In, click here.